Ground inasema aje, let's start just from there. We are counting days to the elections. How is the feeling so far?
The ground is saying we are on course.
We are on course.
You know what's interesting is that the other day, some people from government said that the government has its candidates. So we have confirmed now from what was said by the several politicians that that there are state projects amongst the candidates. Okay,
now we'll be getting deeper into that conversation. Harriet Njoki Mboshe joins me tonight here on Look Up Weekend to have this conversation and the state of judiciary, of the Kenyan judiciary rather. My name is Brian Amwai. Thank you so much for making time for this program tonight. Start engaging us on our socials at Amwai Brian, that is on X, at Lookuptv, across social media platforms. We'll be sampling your feedback as we continue with the program tonight. Do tell us where you are watching us from and what you think about the stories we are running today. But first, these are the top stories tonight.
On Look Up Weekend tonight, a reason to smile for sugar farmers as President William RUTO revealed that he had forced sugar millers to pay farmers an annual bonus starting with 1 billion this year. Also tonight, not so fast. Raila opposes the court's decision to allow hiring of Iebc commissioners before MPs approve bipartisan report. Accelerating the fight against cancer, the Ministry of Health is now targeting schools in a campaign aimed at getting more girls between the ages of 9 and 14 years for the HPV vaccination. And she is eyeing to be the president of the Law Society of Kenya. Tonight, we speak to Harriet Njoki Mboshe on her candidature and the state of the Kenyan judiciary.
All right, now just like I said, remember you can be part of the program by engaging us on our socials. We are at Lookuptv, that is on Facebook and across social media platforms. Do tell us where you are watching us from and what you think about the stories we are running today. And we'll be sampling some of it as we continue with the program tonight. Our sign language interpreter is Josephine Ouko. Let's begin. Now, Azimio leader Raila has rubbished a recent court ruling that ordered the selection panel for the electoral commissioners to resume its work. Now, speaking during an ODM membership recruitment drive in Nairobi, the former Prime Minister said such a proposal does not make sense since the panel was warned by Parliament.
As the National Assembly prepares to debate the Nadco report, ODM leader Raila has rubbished a court ruling that okayed the IEBC selection panel to resume its work.
Nimesikia juzi mahakama moja anasema ati ile kamati ya mbele huko ya kuteua wale wanachama wa IEBC ataendelea kufanya kazi yake. Nasema hiyo ni upuzi. Ni upuzi. Ile kamati haiwezi kufanya kazi manake ilikuwa tayari imevunjwa na bunge. Sasa hii ripoti ya kina Wandai na Kalonzo ukienda mbele ya bunge ipitishwe, ndio tutaanza mambo ya IEBC. Lakini bado tunawadai mambo ya gharama ya maisha. Gharama ya maisha bado tunawadai.
Speaking during the registration drive in Nairobi, the former Prime Minister now says he will call for protests if at all the issues discussed during the national dialogue are not looked at, insisting that the cost of living is still top priority of the opposition's agenda.
Tukaweka jopo kazi kwenda kuzungumza na hawa watu. Waliongea kwa muda. Wakubaliana kwa mambo manne tuliweka. Kwanza, gharama ya maisha irudi wapi?
The ODM leader said the process can only start after the Nadco report has been ratified by Parliament.
Hiyo report ikipita kwa bunge wiki ijayo, utafungua saba. Pili, walikubaliana ya kwamba mambo ya kuunda upya ya tume ya uchaguzi mpaka tusirikishwe. Mpaka tukubaliane na majina yote. Sawa sawa.
Justice Sunday directed that the current IEBC selection panel moves with speed and immediately recruit new commissioners, including the chair. The process was put on hold following the constitution of the bipartisan talk. The High Court's decision followed a case filed by Adan Mohammed, who claimed that failure to recruit the IEBC commissioners in time had violated the rights of the constituents who were to hold by-elections.
Now, away from that, President William Ruto has affirmed that his administration will neither privatize nor sell any sugar factory, as alleged by some politicians. Nazian Keitani now fights. The head of state also noted that plans were underway to inject 3 billion shillings to support cane development for farmers in the next financial year.
Another time in his second visit to the Western region in a few months, refuted claims of selling and privatization of certain sugar companies in the country, noting that his administration is fully focused in ensuring sugarcane farmers are big in the reforms across the sugar sector.
There will be no sale of any sugar factory. There will be no privatization of any sugar factory. We are going to do a leasing management that is going to make sure that we get the best for our farmers, for our employees, and also for the industry, so that we have enough sugar.
The head of state also hinted at plans to pump more funds in the sector in the next financial year in a bid to boost cane development.
Waheshimiwa, mwezi wa sita nalete pendekezo bunge shilingi bilioni 3 ya cane development ya sugar industries. Mpitishi.
Despite noting the achievements made so far in reviving the sector, Ruto noted that the sector's biggest ailment is poor management, while assuring farmers that the government had written off all the debts owed by the sugar companies.
Mambo ya usimamizi wa kampuni hizi tutaisuluhisha, na wezi na wakora hawataiba tena pesa ama hawatatumia. Tatizo moja ambayo ilikuwa ni tatizo kubwa zaidi ilikuwa ni tatizo la madeni. Tulikuwa na madeni ya kampuni za sukari bilioni 117. I want to tell you today, hawa wabunge, mimi nilipeleka cabinet, tukapeleka bunge, tukaenda mpaka treasury. Sasa kampuni zetu zote za sukari tumewapatia certificate ya kuonyesha hawana madeni tena.
Ian Keitani, Lookuptv.
MP Jack Omboka vehemently opposed what he termed as privatization of the sugar factory. In a rally attended by President William Ruto, the head of state has today taken head-on members of parliament who are fond of opposing his government's proposal, yet they are not sure when needed to debate in the National Assembly. Ruto, who was speaking during a church service in Kakamega County on Sunday, said that he wants to took a bill in parliament to iron out the hurdles in the sugar sector, and a certain MP was protesting it in public rallies.
Viongozi wengine wanakuja wanaongelesha raia mambo ya hewa ya bure. Mtu anakuja hapa anasema hapana, unajua sasa kampuni yetu inataka kuuzwa, kampuni yetu inataka kuuzwa. Hata mwingine alikuja kunipigia kelele hapo. Mwingine, mjumbe mwingine. Kelele tu hewa ya bure. Tawe. Sasa wakati nimemuona kwanza maajabu. Ile tawe anasema hapa, anasema tu kwa baraza. Siku ile mimi nilipeleka kufutilia mbali the 117 billion bunge. Huyo mtu ananiambia tawe hapa na makelele na siasa ya ujinga. Hakukuwa hata bunge siku hiyo. Alikuwa kwa maandamano. Sasa mimi nataka nikuulize wewe ni mbunge umechaguliwa. Siku inafutiliwa mbali madeni ya wale watu wa sukari ambao wewe unawakilisha, you are not there. Siku ya kupitisha sugar bill yenye huyu Wangwe alipeleka bunge haukukuweko. Siku ile niliweka pesa 1.7 billion ambayo sasa nitalipia wakulima haukukuweko. Alafu unakuja kuniambia Kiingereza hapa, hiyo ni ujinga, mimi siwezi kubali. Ama namna gani jameni? Lazima tuambiane ukweli.
Now, opposition leader Raila has blasted National Assembly Speaker Moses Wetangula for moving to the Supreme Court to challenge the Court of Appeal's ruling on the controversial housing levy. Now, speaking at Kamukunji grounds on Sunday, Raila said Wetangula's action disqualifies him as being a Speaker of Kenya's Parliament.
As the debate on the housing levy takes center stage across the political arena once again, ODM leader Raila has taken a swipe at National Assembly Speaker Moses Wetangula after the Speaker of the House moved to the Supreme Court to challenge the ruling by the Court of Appeal.
Sasa bwana Wetangula mwenyewe ameenda mahakamani. Hii sheria ilikuwa imetoka kwa bunge, ikaenda kwa bwana RUTO akaweka sahihi. Sasa watu wengine wakaenda mahakamani. Mahakama ikisema hii sheria si halali. Bwana Spika katika ulimwengu mzima hana uwezo tena kwenda mahakamani. Anaenda kama nani? Umeenda kama nani? Bwana Wetangula hafai kuwa spika ya bunge ya Kenya.
Huyu Mheshimiwa William Ruto anaposema kwamba tujenge nyumba za affordable house kule Kisii, ile shamba ambayo tumeweka kando kwa hiyo affordable house, wameanza kujenga kwa wizi ambao wako nao.
Odinga said the housing levy was taken to parliament and passed by legislatures in the watch of Wetangula, and therefore his duty is done and dusted and has no business going to court.
Kama wewe ni speaker, umeshapitisha sheria, kazi yako imekwisha hapo. Sasa imebaki katikati ya serikali kuu na mahakama. Sio kazi tena ya bunge tena. Wewe huwezi kwenda mahakama bila kuuliza wabunge. Spika ni mtumishi wa bunge. Yeye ni mtumishi wa bunge. Hawezi kwenda kwa mahakama bila kuuliza idhini ya wabunge. Alienda kama nani?
The National Assembly, jointly with Wetangula, filed a notice to appeal the court ruling that declared the housing levy as unconstitutional. Wetangula, however, has urged President William Ruto to carry on with the housing levy and ignore the noises.
Hata ukiona wale walikuwa wanapinga mipango yako, sasa wanasema the concept is right but the methodology is wrong. Ignore the methodology, focus on the concept. Since they tell you the concept is right. Na jana tumepitia hapa kwa nyumba zinajengwa. Kulikuwa na vijana karibu 120. Mvua imenyesha lakini wanachapa kazi. Wakaambia Mheshimiwa Rais, na ulisikia, don't look back.
Wetangula moved to court with a notice expressing dissatisfaction with the Court of Appeal judgment, challenging it before the court. The notice reads, and I quote, "Take notice that the National Assembly and the Speaker of the National Assembly, the first and second applicants in Nairobi Court of Appeal, civil applicant number E577 of 2023, being dissatisfied with the decision of the Court of Appeal delivered at Nairobi 26th January 2024, intend to appeal to the Supreme Court of Kenya against the whole of the said ruling." Read the notice in part. In the Friday ruling, Appellate's Court Judge Lydia Achode, John Mativo and Paul Gashoka cited public interest in the matter, underscoring the High Court's ruling that the housing levy was introduced without a legal framework. The public participation on the bill has been going on and was concluded last week, with the Kimani Kuria-led team visiting different counties, collecting views. Ranamwai, Lookuptv.
All right, we do want to take a short break here on Lookup Weekend. When we come back, we'll be getting into our conversation tonight with Harriet Njoki Mboshe to just take a look at the state of the Kenyan judiciary and also her candidature for the president of LSK here in the country. All right, we are coming back in a few. Don't go too far.
Infinity Industrial Park is one of the largest private industrial parks located along Eastern Bypass, Nairobi, which provides modern infrastructure for smooth operations for industries and business enterprises. Infinity Industrial Park offers world-class amenities and facilities with wide roads, a police station, a power substation, fire station, public transport stage, hospital, and shopping mall. In addition, Infinity Industrial Park also offers CCTV cameras, 24-hour private armed security patrol, sewer, water, fiber optic cable, and 3-phase power connection. Added to public utility, canteen, and dining areas. Sail on the golden opportunity to invest in Infinity Industrial Park, fully serviced warehouses at a special price of 3,569 Kenyan shillings per square foot. For more inquiries, visit our website infinityindustrialpark.com.
What about mambo fantastic if not scholastic? Chota kuchota na heti ya supermarket imerudi. Ukifanya tu shopping ya shilingi 1,000, wewe unaingia kwa promotion ya chota kuchota na heti ya supermarket. Watu wanaendelea kushinda ndani ya heti ya supermarket. Tata kitoko. Wewe na umeshinda nini? Yote. Sasa karibu ndani ya heti ya supermarket uweze kuchota kwa wingi kabisa. Watu wanasema nini? Nakwambia kwamba chota kuchota. Unangoja nini?
Magari 7 za kushindaniwa, TV, free, microwave, shopping vouchers, school fees vouchers, instant prizes na zawadi zingine kemkem. Chota kuchota imethaminiwa na Hetias, Oven Fresh Bakery, Gigabyte, Mount Kenya Milk, Clover's Food Products, Velvet, Magic Drink, Pwani Oil, Arenco, Fruit Juice, Masterchef, Toilex, Coolsip, Mika, Wash Ultra, Philos, Frystol, Nevea, My Choice, Ushindi, Fresh Fry, Arimis Jelly, Cabernet Water, Dettol, Ketepa, Meta, Glucose, Coca-Cola, Rosy Tissue, Big Giant, Elbins, Unilever, Fresh, Unga wa Dola, Blue Band na Pasta Star. Shindano la chota kuchota linaanza tarehe 1 Disemba hadi tarehe 10 Februari mwaka 2024.
Hetias Supermarket, a world of choice.
Are you an SME looking for a media partner? Look no more, as Lookuptv got you covered for all your visibility and marketing needs. We at Lookuptv understand your business needs and want to work with you on your marketing journey, giving you solutions that will take you to the next level. Call us today on 0707 572 358 or send an email to sales@lookuptv.co.ke and kickstart this amazing journey. Welcome to Lookuptv, your official SME media partner.
So I felt, well, I've done justice to education and I needed to do something more involving. I can literally sit here for hours and tell you I moved from one company to the other and today sitting with 7 companies and we all frame it up with real-time global.
What is this one promise that you want every other client to receive when they work with you?
That we will always deliver whatever you ask us to do on time. That's it.
Leon Athol, who is the CEO, founder, Real Time Global.
Mambo ni mawili, kufikisha, kumwaga na kurudi. Kulala ni mwaka mpya. Muka we mse. Nini mbaya? Wewe kwani wani vile dereva anaendesha gari vibaya, lazima tususe. Anaendesha gari na kwa simu the whole time hata angalia barabara. Tusimame. Wewe dereva wewe. Mwaka iliyopita peke yake watu zaidi ya 3,000 walipoteza maisha yao barabarani kwa sababu kama hizo. Hautatuangamiza tukiona.
Naomba msamaha, nitampeleka vizuri.
Si wameomba msamaha. Sasa tuende tusafiri kwa mwendo wa aste.
Dere Smart hufikisha abiria salama. Ujumbe huu umeletwa kwako na NTSA kwa ushirikiano na European Union.
All right, thank you so much for staying with us here on Look Up Weekend. Time for our conversation tonight here on the program with Harriet Njoki Mboshe. Thank you so much for making time.
Thank you.
All right, I want us to start just immediately looking at the state of the Kenyan judiciary and also just your candidature for the LSK president. But first, let's just begin from what has been happening in the country as far as the judiciary and the executive is concerned. What's your assessment of this particular situation first?
I'll start by saying pole. We recently, a few days ago, experienced some gas explosion in this country, in Nairobi. We are aware that a number of people have passed on. To their families, we say pole. For those who are still in hospital or recovering, and even the trauma of it all, we wish them quick recovery, and we hope that the matter will be investigated quickly, that it will not happen again. Now, going back to your question, Amoy, on the state of the nation, you know, there seems to be a trend of what I'm referring to as state capture. There's a reason why the Constitution has established institutions to operate independently, even though there is supposed to be a relationship between them. So when we find that the executive does not want to respect another arm, then there's a problem. Remember, we are not saying that there's no problem within the judiciary. I am an advocate, I do litigation, and I have had instances where I have been dissatisfied with court decisions from time to time. Now, we have various options. Where you feel that there has been no foul play, it's a question that can be appealed against, then you appeal. That is why we have the appellate process. Where you feel or you have evidence to believe that there is foul play, for instance, issues of corruption, then we have provisions in the Constitution and statute that allows us to challenge or to raise those concerns with the JSC as against the individual judicial officers who are suspected of corruption. Remember, you cannot accuse an entire institution of corruption. Corruption is individual. You give names and say these are the people who have acted corruptly. So the problem here is a situation whereby the executive does not want to follow the processes that have been set out. And you know, even for a Kenyan, Wanjiko, it is important that institutions are obeyed. So that Wanjiko then believes, you know, now we have, for instance, the questions of affordable housing going on. If Wanjiko feels aggrieved or feels offended by, you know, an eviction, and they want to challenge the decision of, they want to challenge the government, if they cannot feel that the courts will make an impartial, you know, will make a decision without fear or favor, then they'll be unable to address or to approach the justice system. So asking for independence of institutions is supposed to protect all of us. Remember our president, for instance, at some point he was taken to The Hague. If the justice system was not one that allows everybody a chance, we will not be having him today. So it's important, even as we hold institutions of influence and institutions of power, that we hold them with respect to the law. Because there's what we say, sheria ni msumeno, inakata mbele na nyuma. So let nobody imagine that they are above the law. Because when you begin to want to act outside the law can actually work against you.
Now, because you mentioned something important, and you say, you know, let me just ask, when the executive itself acts in this particular manner, we look at the executive, it is disrespecting the judiciary. What does that speak of the executive? Because now the common person needs to look at the judiciary and say, I can run to the judiciary when I want to seek justice for something that has been done against me, and I do not agree with that. So if the executive itself is casting doubts on the process in the judiciary, what does that speak of the entire system itself?
There's a danger, and we have been seeing it recently from those utterances, as well as before we went on break, I told you, and you can confirm, that some politicians affiliated to the government have actually said that even in the Law Society of Kenya election that is coming up, the government has sponsored candidates so that they can make sure that the Law Society does what the government wants. You know, that is a very dangerous narrative, because it shows that the state is interested in capturing all the institutions. And it is dangerous for the country, because it means then you will have an executive that goes rogue. It is important for the executive to know that even as it carries out its mandate, you know, it's important that people are actually able to respect government. Sometimes we may disagree with government, but it shouldn't be that when you disagree, I mean, in one of the videos that you were running in your bulletin, I had the head of state almost insulting someone for challenging him on something and referring to a bill that he has taken to parliament. That is very, it leaves us with a very bad taste in our mouth. We shouldn't have a dictatorship. You know, our constitution allows us democracy. It allows us institutional independence. So then we're able to check and balance each other. You know, it is very clear, and it has been said time and again, that power corrupts, but absolute power corrupts absolutely. And sometimes that absolute power can actually eat somebody, and they don't realize that they are dredging themselves deeper and deeper towards the wrong direction. So it's important that the executive should abide by the rule of law. It is important that even the state projects are put on notice that Kenyans will not allow state projects. That Kenya is a country that is governed by law and governed by, and we have institutions.
All right.
Yes.
Let me come to something you mentioned about the elections that are coming up at the end of the month, and you say there are politicians that have said they have someone that they are interested in, they're supporting actually. How do you then, when you win, prevent the Law Society of Kenya from being captured by the executive?
No, the good thing is, even as they're sponsoring state candidates or state projects.
Do we really have those state candidates?
Well, they said it. You know, it is not for me to say it. They said it themselves. So let their owners own them, because their owners have already said that they are sponsoring them. So you see, now I cannot come and say, oh, they are not sponsoring them. I'm not part of their arrangement. Let them own their people. Let them run with them. The important thing is this: because of the nature even of the constitution that we have, because of the nature of life, the members have a voice. And the good thing now is that even as the state has their candidates, as they have said, members also have a candidate. And their candidate is Harriet Njoki Mboshe. And when Harriet Njoki Mboshe wins and becomes the president of the Law Society of Kenya, she will then be acting on the mandate of the people, on the mandate of the members. The good thing then is that we end up with a Law Society of Kenya that is not captured. You know, unless, and you know the thing about history has taught us many things. We had a time in this country when capture had actually happened, and the Law Society of Kenya stood as the last line of defense. Right now, Kenyans have been challenging the issue of the housing levy. Right now, Kenyans are complaining about the cost of living. Right now, Kenyans are complaining about taxes. Right now, Kenyans are complaining about the fact that when our children wanted to go to school, bursaries or money had not been released. If all institutions have been captured, who is going to stand up for this country? So it's very important that we have a Law Society of Kenya that is actually above capture. Because it is not only important for this country or for our members, but it is also extremely important for the Law Society of Kenya. because Amwai, the mandate of the Law Society of Kenya is very broad, and it is even set out in the Law Society of Kenya Act. It helps the people, it helps, we can even advise government. You know, we have 15,000 advocates. So if the government is struggling with the comprehension of certain things, or if they're struggling with how do we make sure that this project that was in our manifesto is rolled out in a manner that is legal, they can seek advice from our 15,000 advocates. We have so many of them. So as an advocate of the as a president of the Law Society of Kenya, one of the things I will do even in my first 100 days is to make sure that I set up a robust public interest litigation team that will then be able to take up many of these challenges that the country is facing. So that every day we are not just sitting back and waiting for other people to raise those concerns. We are able to pick them and address them. We also need to encourage the government to be seeking legal opinion even as they are running some of these things.
Does the government involve the Law Society of Kenya enough on these particular issues?
It will seem, as we are seeing now, that the government wants to, the executive wants to operate in a silo. You know, when you look at Section 4 of the LSK Act, it actually allows the government to, and we also have the national, the NCAJ. It's a council, National Council on Administration of Justice. It has various stakeholders, heads of state agencies, including also representative, the Chief Justice sits there. We have the President of the Law Society of Kenya who sits there. The Attorney General sits there. The civil society representatives sit there. So we have institutions where the President can actually engage those institutions and say, we are planning on rolling out this. How do we engage? How do we make sure that it actually rolls out in the manner that is ideal, in a manner that is actually beneficial for the country? So the executive seems to be wanting to operate in a silo, and that is very counterproductive. You know, Amwai, if I have a question, instead of, I have many options. I could choose to be an island and look at it myself, and then what I decide becomes what I run with, or I could think about it, research, come up with a position, then consult. You know, even the constitution that we have right now does not allow for that dictatorship. It requires public participation. And the courts have continuously pronounced themselves on the question of public participation.
Yeah, we are seeing quite a number of things going back to the public. Let me get back to the question of, state sponsoring a candidate for these particular elections. What threat does this pose to the election itself and the Law Society of Kenya? Should the advocates be worried? Should the society be worried about this?
Of course we should be worried. We should be worried because it is not, I wish it was a rumor, but it's not. It's government-allied politicians have come out and said that they have state-sponsored candidates. Not one. You're saying it is not it is several of them.
So casting the net just in case.
Yes, and therefore it is a very dangerous position. So I urge our members to be extremely vigilant, even on that day of the election. I urge our members to be extremely vigilant because our election is supposed to be conducted by the Iebc. And we know the challenges that are there. In fact, even the Iebc is currently not properly constituted. We have seen the Banisa constituency, the MP passed on in March last year. They haven't had a by-election. So we know that there are certain challenges that will be facing the Iebc. So the question is how ready, how prepared are they to deal with any attempts to rig the election of the Law Society of Kenya, because it is possible, as has been alluded to, that the state has projects, it has its people that it's sponsoring. But also then to encourage members, because Harriet Njoki is a members candidate, I wish to encourage them to make sure that they turn out to vote, so that then the state can know that the people can actually stand up and save this country and save the Law Society of Kenya. Otherwise, we'll have captured institutions that cannot speak truth to power. And that is actually what we need at the moment.
So that is the fear, that as much as the state wants to get involved into this and into the elections and have a candidate, their preferred candidate, what you're seeking, the outcome could be very devastating as far as the society is concerned.
And the country. But members have a solution. We can turn up on that day and vote en masse. And make sure we vote for Harriet Njoki Mboshe so that the members' candidate can actually win this election.
Now, let's talk about bringing these particular institutions together. As the Law Society of Kenya President, Harriet Njoki Mboshe, how would you seek to maybe harmonize the relationship between the judiciary, the executive, and even the Law Society of Kenya itself? Because if the executive now will be fighting you when you are in office, then it will be very difficult for you even to just carry out your mandate. So how exactly do you bring people together?
You know, the beautiful thing, and why I insist on observing the law, is that the law has a solution to that. We have the Judicial Service Act, which sets up the NCAG that I was telling you about, which is a platform that allows the AG, the Attorney General, the Chief Justice, the President of the Law Society of Kenya, representatives of NGOs and all these other institutions to actually come and have those kinds of conversations and engagements. So there are platforms, many, that can be used to make sure that even the executive is able to consult before they make certain decisions. I have told you, nothing will be easier than for me to lend about 2,000 of my advocates to look at the pros and cons of a certain project in terms of, you know, if the government sought a legal opinion, we have advocates who can offer a legal opinion, you see. So the problem is where you have the executive wanting to go rogue, that they don't want to consult with the law. They don't want to get checked. They don't, that's all. If they actually took advantage of the legal resource that this country has, then we'll be able to tell them, you know what, here you have fallen short in terms of public participation. Here you have fallen short in terms of this and we, you know, the other thing as a president of the Law Society that I find very important, and I have shared it with you, one, within 100 days, set up the public interest, a robust, we have one right now, but we need a robust one that takes into on board about 1,000 to 2,000 advocates. We have many of them that are capable, willing, able, and ready to take on public interest litigation. The thing about public interest litigation, or any kind of litigation, is that even as it goes on, if the president or the state, for instance, or any other agency decides to comply with the law, the matter can rest. You see? The other thing is, if there was a proposal to look into the pros and cons of a certain project, we have advocates. If it's a commercial project, we have many advocates who are interested in that area. If it's a question of, you know, the other day, certain projects are running and many of them have fallen short on public participation. We have our members of the Law Society of Kenya who can take it up as a brief and be able to advise. You see? So what I'd like to suggest is, it's not a contest. It's not a fight. You know, I keep telling people, this Kenya belongs to all of us. We're all Kenyans. Brian, I don't think you have dual citizenship.
No, I don't.
Neither do I. You see, so when this country bans, all of us will suffer, you and I. I'm sure there are many who have other citizenships, and we love them because they are, you know, part of the country. But the point here is this: because this country belongs to us, both those who voted for the Kenya Kwanza government and those who did not vote for it, this is the government that we have. So it is in the best interest of all of us that, one, we make sure that we are moving forward. How do we move forward? By making sure that the government does not fall short. You know, we don't want to get into a dictatorship. It is important that we remain a democracy because that is what we voted for in the constitutional referendum. It is important that we advise the government to take the right route. And when it does not, that we call it to order. That's why we have checks and balances. And not just the executive, by the way, even the judiciary. You know, it's just that the president doesn't want to follow the law in terms of that issue. But we are not saying that there is no corruption. But corrupt people have names. Article 168 of the Constitution has a process. So let us follow the law. And when I become the president, it is not that I will go and fight with the president of Kenya.
No,
it is not. Yeah, it is. You see, we will challenge him when he falls short.
Okay.
But when he asks before he falls short, we will certainly be happy to guide him.
Okay.
Yes.
Let me ask you a question because we've seen those who challenge the president right now, because when you get elected and you get into office, it will be within the period that he's still in office. So when you get to challenge the president and you get a feedback where it is attacking the society itself and you as the leader of that particular society, how do you get to deal with that?
The beautiful thing, again, because I am a members project, I am then cushioned by my members.
Okay.
Remember, in the history of the Law Society of Kenya, we have had former presidents like Paul Mwite, former presidents like the former Chief Justice Willy Mutunga, who have actually been able to stand up and stand firm against certain kinds of pushback from the executive. So it will not be that I will be reinventing the wheel. Because my mandate is from the members, all I will need is to go back and tell my members, this is what is happening. We need to stand up in solidarity, and this is what we do. And it will not be a matter of reinventing the wheel. These people, the Senior Counsel Paul Mwite, as former president, he has faced a similar situation and he has dealt with it successfully.
Okay.
Yes.
Let me come to a question of integrity within the society itself, because those are something happened last year where there was a quote-unquote a fake lawyer operating, terming himself as one of a member of the Law Society of Kenya, and you guys came out and said, okay, he does not belong to this particular society. Moving forward, are you as the leader of this particular society, how do you ensure that people don't use your name to do their dealings and at the end drag all of you down?
It's very important, and the other thing that I plan to do within 100 days of my presidency is to persuade my council that we should increase the funds to the branches. Because you see, one of the things that helps with is that then, because we have 8 branches that in the act as well, and the good thing about empowering branches is that branches are able to directly follow up and see this is our member, this is not our member, and also to daily and actively be able to deal with the masqueraders and those people who are, who either masquerading as advocates or who are not qualified due to various reasons, and they're still practicing, for instance, if they have been removed off the roll. So the most important thing, and it's the same thing that I go back to and say, when you are a leader at the national level, empower the other areas, empower their branches so that they're able to do more work. One of the things that I remember as very critical in some of the processes we've taken is by saying, for instance, governance, if you're looking at devolution, family is the basic unit.
Okay.
So even as you're looking at the Law Society of Kenya and being able to address the challenges that we are facing, you must empower the branches, you must empower what we call practice centers that are now smaller groupings of the branches, so that then amongst themselves, you see, like if Brian here is having a problem, before everybody else out there knows, the family here at Lookuptv will know that Brian did not show up today.
Yeah, exactly.
You see? Yeah. So we must empower the branches, and it's a pledge that I have given for me, because the most effective way of efficiency is by making sure that all levels are well facilitated to get the work done.
All right. Now, I'm running out of time, totally out of time, but I want to give you a minute to say why Harriet Njoki Mboshe? Why you, and why at this particular time?
At this particular time, because the state is trying to capture the Law Society of Kenya, the state is trying to capture institutions.
Okay.
We have no room for capture as a country. We need institutions that are working.
All right.
So what I'm saying is that we will not allow even an inch of the mandate of the Law Society of Kenya being abused.
Okay.
Members must have a leader who is not captured. The country needs a law society that is not captured.
All right.
So efficiency, independence of institutions, we must adhere to them. Your president of the Law Society of Kenya should be someone who is able to be independent. The only person who can do that is one who is not captured by the state, who Who is that person? Harriet Njoki Mboshe, the members project, the members candidate.
All right, thank you so much, Harriet Njoki Mboshe. It is a pleasure. It has been a pleasure having you on set and having this conversation with you. I wish you the very best in the coming elections. All right. Thank
you very much, Mwai, and thank you to the entire Lookuptv family. Yeah. This is a great initiative.
Thank you.
The members of the Royal Society, as well as Kenyans, need to stay updated and need to know the truth. Asanteni sana.
Thank you.
Harriet Njoki Mboshe for LSK President.
All right. Which camera? This one. All right. We are taking a break here on the program. When we come back, we'll be taking you through some of the remaining stories as we wind up on the program tonight. All right. Don't go too far. We'll be back in a few. Thank you so much.
Mambo ni mawili: kufikisha, kumwaga na kurudi. Kulala ni mwaka mpya.
Muka we mse. Nini mbaya? Wewe kwani vile dereva anaendesha gari vibaya, lazima tususe. Anaendesha gari na kwa simu the whole time, hata angalia barabara. Tusimame. Wewe dereva wewe. Mwaka iliyopita peke yake watu zaidi ya 3,000 walipoteza maisha yao barabarani kwa sababu ya tabia kama hizo. Hautatuangamiza tukiona.
Naomba msamaha, tamtamka vizuri.
Si wameomba msamaha. Sasa tuende tusafiri kwa mwendo wa aste.
Dere Smart hufikisha abiria salama. Ujumbe huu umeletwa kwako na NTSA kwa ushirikiano na European Union.
Infinity Industrial Park is one of the largest private industrial parks located along Eastern Bypass, Nairobi, which provides modern infrastructure for smooth operations for industries and business enterprises. Infinity Industrial Park offers world-class amenities and facilities with wide roads, a police station, a power substation, fire station, public transport stage, hospital, and shopping mall. In addition, Infinity Industrial Park also offers CCTV cameras, 24-hour private armed security patrol, sewer, water, fiber optic cable, and 3-phase power connection, added to public utility, canteen, and dining areas. Sail on the golden opportunity to invest in Infinity Industrial Park fully serviced warehouses at a special price of 3,569 Kenyan shillings per square foot. For more inquiries, visit our website infinityindustrialpark.com.
So I felt, well, I've done justice to education and I needed to do something more involving. I can literally sit here for hours and tell you I moved from one company to the other, and today sitting with 7 companies, and we all frame it up with real-time global.
What is this one promise that you want every other client to receive when they work with you?
That we will always deliver whatever you ask us to do on time. That's it.
Legan Athol, who is the CEO, founder, Real-Time Global.
Are you an SME looking for a media partner? Look no more, as Lookuptv got you covered for all your visibility and marketing needs. We at Lookuptv understand your business needs and want to work with you on your marketing journey, giving you solutions that will take you to the next level. Call us today on 0707 572 358 or send an email to sales@lookuptv.co.ke and kickstart this amazing journey. Welcome to Lookup TV, your official SME media partner.
Now, thank you so much for staying with us here on Lookup Weekend. Let's continue with the news tonight. Now, Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi has condemned Azimio chief over his recent remarks regarding the appointment of Wafula Chebukati as the Chief Justice. Mudavadi noted that the former Iebc boss has the right to nominate himself for a judge position if he desires to do so. Speaking in Kakamega during an interdenominational church service attended by President William Ruto, Mudavadi emphasized that the recruitment process will be carried out by the Independent Judicial Service Commission.
There are people who want to always criticize the president. Oh, he has commented on the judiciary, he has commented on this. But I also want to say, before you remove the log in somebody else's eye, what about yours? Nukiri kuturiza amajira momoni yunde wa kuturiza gabe momoni yoyo. Nasema hivyo kwa sababu Judicial Service Commission is also independent, and Judicial Service Commission has the right to recruit anybody who qualifies to be a judge of this republic. So it is wrong for the Azimio leadership to start determining who should the Judicial Service Commission recruit. You cannot tell us that a son of the soil in this area, if they are interested, kama ni Chebukati ama nani, if he puts his bid for the position of a judge, that is the responsibility of the Judicial Service Commission, not the responsibility of politicians to try and direct the Judicial Service Commission. These kind of contradictions are not acceptable. Kwa hivyo, tusimame imara so that we can move forward and be able to move the country in the right direction.
Now, 5 people died while 9 others were injured after a road accident at Mahiga Maeru area along the Nyahururu-Nyeri road on Saturday evening. Now, the victims were a driver and a woman from St. Peter's Gaitega of Cathedral Parish of the Catholic Diocese of Muranga and were returning home after joining thousands of Catholic Women Association attending a national prayer meeting at the Subukia's Mariam Shrine Friday evening. Now, 3 survivors were rushed to Nyahururu County and Referral Hospital where they were treated. 2 of them were discharged, while another was admitted nursing head injuries, whereas the bodies of the 5 who perished on the spot were taken to the Nyahururu County Hospital mortuary. Now, Namibian President Hage Geingob has died at the age of 82, less than 3 weeks after it was announced he would undergo treatment for cancer. Now, Geingob died on Sunday at Lady Pohamba Hospital in the capital, Windhoek, with his wife and his children by his side. Acting President Nangolo Ndumba said in a statement posted on Geingob's official social media pages. Now, the statement reads in part, "The Namibian nation has lost a distinguished servant of the people, a liberation struggle icon, the chief architect of our constitution and the pillar of the Namibian house." Now, Geingob's office announced last month that he had begun treatment following the discovery of cancerous cells during a routine colonoscopy and gastroscopy. Now, Geingob, who also served a 12-year stint as Prime Minister, had a history of health problems that preceded his election as Namibia's 3rd president in 2014. President William Ruto has mourned Geingob as the leader who served his people with focus and dedication. Let's take a listen to what the president had to say.
Pata habari leo asubuhi kwamba tumempoteza rais wa nchi ya Namibia. Na mimi nataka niwaombe kwa heshima, sisi wote kwa dakika moja tusimame kwa heshima ya Rais Geingob, President wa Namibia ambaye alifariki leo asubuhi. Asante sana, na nitauliza wale wote wanaohusika. Tukishapata habari kamili tutafanya vile. Kwa heshima tutaweka bendera yetu nusu mlingoti kwa sababu ya kumuenzi rafiki yetu, kiongozi katika bara letu la Afrika, rais wa kule Namibia.
All right, now let's get a potty tonight here on Look Up Weekend. KCB Rugby Club has continued with a smooth run in the Kenya Cup fixture after defeating Black Blood from Kenyatta University 47 points to 8 in entertaining clash host at the KCB Sports Club. Now, the Bankers have now won all of the 6 matches this season, settling in the second place with 29 points, only 1 point behind the log leaders, Kabras Sugar, who have garnered 30 points. All right, now the team led by Priska Jabet, Rishi Dodia, Florence Karimi and Ofa Wamaida returned a combined score of 123 points to emerge the winners of the first leg of the 2024 KCB East Africa Golf Tour at the PAS 71 Mombasa Golf Club. Now, the quartet triumphed over the team led by Mombasa Club captain James Gitonga, Elijah Ibua, Gabriel Gakuo and Peter Karanja. Finished in the second place after returning 112 points. Now both teams have booked a place in this year's grand finale, which will be held in December.
And even currently, our club, we are in discussions with the KCB. We hope to roll this out soon for them to give golfers what they are calling customer value proposition for golfers. For me, that is a bank that is thinking, that's a bank that is responsive, that's a bank that is creative. And please support our prizes so that your staff can also come and talk to these members about your products 2, 3, 4 times.
All right, that does it for us here on Look Up Weekend. Thank you so much for your time. But before I go, let me just give you an update as far as Namibia is concerned following the death of the president. Now, Nangolo Mbumba, who is 82 years old, was sworn in today as the 4th president of Namibia following the death of Dr. Hage Geingob. Now, he has been vice president since 2018. Now, Namibia's elections were scheduled to be held in November this year before the demise of the president. Right now, the deputy president has been sworn in as the 4th president of that particular country. That does it for us here on the program. Thank you so much once again for tuning in and trusting us to bring you up to date with the news making headlines across the country. Our sign language interpreter tonight has been Josephine Oko. On behalf of everyone that made this one a success today, starting with my director James Mumani and the entire team behind the scenes making everything work the way it is, including my producer Ian Ketani. I really want to thank you so much for watching. Do have yourselves a lovely night. Let's do this again next time. God willing. Good night.